My name's Don Adams, and I edited First Time Machine. The director couldn't come, so he flew me here and he said, "Yeah, I'm going to fly you out to this festival." I thought it was going to be in New Jersey or something, but I got to come to France, so I was like, "Yes."
So, since the director's not in, but you've worked with him,
Oh yeah, I've known him for years.
you know him for years. Can you give us a basic idea? What was the inspiration?
Well, it's a Frederick Brown short story. Frederick Brown's an American science fiction and mystery writer. Um, and the short story is 2 pages long, which is really interesting because usually you're cutting material down to make a short, but it's kind of a good move because then you can expand on it because basically the whole short story is in the movie, but, it's, it's just three guys. The guy shows them the time machine. The guy goes back to kill his grandfather, and then it just ends with two guys standing there, and that's the whole story. There's none of the. So Jay added all the racial stuff. The guys are black in the story, so which is kind of fun because Frederick Brown was known for twist endings, and Jay added a twist ending to the twist ending. Yeah.
And the film, when do you start working on it?
It's been a while because we cut it about a year ago, and he's shown it at a few festivals. And I think he shot it probably like over a year. He went back to Ohio. We live in LA, but he grew up in Ohio, and he went back there and shot it. And he said the biggest budgetary expense was the time machine itself, which he had built by like a real prop guy. And it's pretty impressive. I wanted to bring it, but I don't think they would let me on a plane with a big metal device with wires and a timer on it, you know.
It's interesting that we mentioned to Jay when I had his film at our festival in New York City that there's currently a scientist. Name is Ronald Mallet, and he's been working on a time machine, and he's also African American. So I asked, well, was there a relationship? But there was just no purely coincidental.
Yeah, that is odd. He told me about that.
And in the case of Ron, he's actually originally the idea of doing that is because his own father had passed away when he was 7 years old, and he wanted to go back and let him know about his impending heart attack. So it was not, but I find the interesting synchronicities here. So tell me, what is the where is Jay going next? I mean, with this
I'm not sure. Like I told him, well, you should just make like three more and make an anthology, of short films. But of course, it'll probably take 7 years to do that. But yeah, and Jay's made a bunch of features. I've made a bunch of features. So I guess wherever you're going is whoever gives you some money the next time.
And in your approach to editing, because you've also mentioned you worked on features.
Yeah.
How was your approach in editing this short?
I gotta say, short films are terrible to work on because they're usually the filmmakers. It's often their first movie, and they can't let go of it. Like they work on it for months and months. But Jay is a good editor too. He's an editor, and yeah, this one was pleasant. Because after you've done features, a short film is kind of like it's like a nice little break because you can get it done in a quick amount of time.
Right. Excellent. Okay, so is future plans for yourself?
I don't know. I've made a bunch of movies. It's really kind of hard out there in Hollywood now. The small stuff has kind of gone away. And I was talking to Tom, and he said the same thing here in London and in Ireland. So I have a day job now, so we'll see. I haven't made a film of my own in about before the pandemic. I haven't gone back to it yet.
And you're also working with some music groups as well?
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm making a record now because you can do it a lot cheaper. My intention, I made movies, I had a comic book, I had a podcast, so eventually I want to fail in all forms of media.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is just going to open up the floor to the audience for questions for first time machine.
Yeah.
Tell us about the music. The music was great.
Yeah, Jay did that. Jay's a composer too. And then there's one song in there by my buddy, Jimbo Mathis, who's the founder of the Squirrel Nut Zippers, who are like a swing rock band from the South of America. They've been around forever. They're right now, they're on tour. They're opening for, X. X's farewell tour. It's going on right now.
Mm. For I guess you're the editor work
I
or
could just make an observation about this. I think this is Jay's best cast ever. And it's interesting because he cast, I think, out of Chicago and, somewhere over there in the Midwest. And I think one of the reasons the cast is so good is that they're black guys, and I don't think there's a lot of movies they get offered, and if they do, they would probably all be up for the same role normally,
Right.
and it's very diverse, like a cast of like 3 specific kind of characters.
right.
And I think those guys are.
So the
great.
last piece of the film, that last piece of dialogue, that was with Jay added.
Yeah.
Okay.
It surprised me even when I was cutting it. I didn't know it was coming. But I like that twist, And I asked Jay about that because I thought someone might ask me. I said, they have this white friend and then he disappears from time because he goes back to his grandfather. And I said, do you think, do them not having that white friend, does that contribute to his racism because they don't know a white guy? Right. In the same way that it improved his life, where he says they're his family more than his own family because his family was so terrible. And Jay said, yeah. So I picked up on that about a year after we cut it, Eventually I understand the movies, I guess, like that.
Great.
Sometimes you see them so many times, you see things will just surprise you. Like, have you ever had oh my God, there's a guy in that shot, and like in the background, and it'll be a shot that you've looked at 10,000 times, but you're just so, and then somebody walks in the room and goes, hey, there's a Brit in that shot, and you're like, oh.
One question: is the director African American?
He's not.
He's
No.
not.
Yeah.
So, and we were wondering, Frederick Brown also is not African American.
No, Frederick Brown he was a white guy. He was from, he worked in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where I was born. Interesting about him is Dario Argento's first movie, Bird with the Crystal Plumage. He just lifted that from a Frederick Brown book, The Screaming Mimi. So it's actually just like an adaptation of a book. They just never told him. And also Frederick Brown's short story, Arena, is that famous Star Trek episode where Kirk fights the Gorn, the lizard.
Oh, yes, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah. And an interesting thing there, too, the guy who wrote it, Gene Kuhn, who later produced Star Trek and came up with a bunch of the Klingons, all kinds of stuff. He added a lot to Star Trek. He forgot that he had read the short story, and he thought he made it up. And then before they shot, thankfully, he remembered. But, they have people who review, and they're like, hey, this is a Frederick Brown story. So they call Frederick Brown and buy it from him without telling him that they already wrote the script. And thankfully, he said yes. If they had shot it, can you imagine if they had shot it and then had to get his permission?
That might have been tricky.
You should read the short story. It's only 2 pages.
2 pages. It's easy.
Frederick Brown has an even shorter short story about time travel where a guy goes, hey, I've invented a time machine. And the guy goes, hey, that might be dangerous. He goes, no, you just push it. He pushes it and the whole universe disappears. The whole story is like, that's Frederick Brown. It's another time travel.
Very short and shorter.
Yeah.
Excellent.
That'd be a great short film.
Yes, very short. Okay, great. So if you guys have any more questions, this is a wrap. I want to thank Don for
thanks for hanging out.
For having us here and representing. And so this brings us to another close, the 9th edition of the PKD Festival in France. So
this is a great venue. If I lived I'd hang out here all the time. You'd never get rid of me if I lived here.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you.